The Stoic secret to control any emotion instantly. Have you ever felt it? That sudden, overwhelming wave of emotion that hijacks your brain? The blinding flash of anger after a careless comment? The cold grip of anxiety that seizes your chest before a presentation? The deep sting of jealousy that poisons your thoughts? In these moments, we feel powerless, like a ship tossed in a storm, completely at the mercy of the waves. We are told that emotions are things that happen to us. But what if that's a lie? What if you possessed a mental circuit breaker, a tool so powerful it could stop that emotional wave right before it crashes? The Stoics discovered this secret 2,000 years ago. It's not about suppressing emotion or becoming a cold, unfeeling robot. It's about understanding the source of emotion and reclaiming your power over it. This video will teach you the Stoic technique to gain control, not in months or years, but in the very instant an emotion begins to form. Stay with me, because this isn't just theory. It's a practical 3-step method you can start using the moment this video ends. To begin, I want you to go to the comments right now and write the one emotion that you feel has the most power over you. Anger, anxiety, fear, sadness. Naming your adversary is the first step to mastering it. Do it now. This is part of the work. Let's unlock the secret. The first law: master the pause. Separate fact from fiction. The great Stoic teacher Epictetus laid down the foundational principle. We are disturbed not by events, but by the judgments we form about them. This is the key. An event happens, and in the space of a microsecond, we attach a story to it. That story, not the event itself, is what triggers the emotion. The secret to instant control lies in stretching that microsecond into a moment of conscious thought. This is the sacred pause. The practical application is simple, but not easy. The very next time you feel a powerful emotion begin to rise, anger, fear, frustration, your one and only job is to stop. Do not act, do not speak. Mentally, or even under your breath, command yourself, pause. This act creates a space between the stimulus and your response. This space is where your freedom lies. Think of yourself as a detective arriving at a crime scene. Your first job is not to decide who is guilty, it is to secure the area and observe the raw facts. The fact is, my boss sent me a one-word email saying tomorrow. The fiction, the story you instantly tell yourself is, I'm in trouble, my job is at risk, I've done something wrong. The pause allows you to see the fact for what it is, a single word, before you let the fiction run wild and hijack your nervous system. This pause is not an act of suppression. It is an act of incredible power. It is you taking back the reins from your automatic, conditioned mind. It is the moment you stop being a reactor and start becoming a responder. Once you have created this precious space, what do you do with it? This leads us to the second law. The second law: practice objective examination, dissect the impression. Now that you've paused, you must use that moment to interrogate your initial impression. Marcus Aurelius was a master of this. He would take powerful concepts like fame, pleasure, or even death, and break them down into their component parts to strip them of their emotional charge. You must do the same with the events of your life. In that moment of pause, ask yourself a series of cold, hard questions. What actually happened here, stripped of my interpretation? Is this event within my control? Is my initial judgment about it objectively true? Does this event harm my character, my inner self? A colleague didn't invite you to a meeting. Your story. They are cutting me out. They don't respect me. The objective reality: I was not on a specific email list. It could have been an oversight, a logistical reason, or 100 other things that have nothing to do with you. Imagine you are a scientist looking at a slide under a microscope. You aren't judging the specimen, you are simply observing its properties. You are detaching from the emotional narrative and looking only at the data. When you do this, you'll find that 99% of your emotional turmoil is fueled by the story you tell yourself, not the event itself. By dissecting the impression, you starve the negative emotion of its fuel. This analytical process calms the primitive brain and engages the rational mind. You realize the catastrophe you imagined is just a story, and a poorly written one at that. You see reality as it is. Now that you have clarity, you must take the final step. This is where you don't just control the emotion, you choose who you want to be. The third law, the virtuous response. Choose your character. After you have paused and examined, you are left with a choice. The automatic emotional reaction is no longer the only option on the table. Now, you can choose a response deliberately. For the Stoic, this choice is always guided by one thing: virtue. The goal is to respond in a way that is courageous, just, temperate, and wise. You must ask yourself the most important question of all. What would the best version of myself do in this situation? Not what would feel satisfying, but what would be right. Not what would release the tension, but what would build your character. Someone insults you. The automatic response is to insult them back. The virtuous response could be calm silence, temperance, a firm boundary. I don't speak to people who use that language. Courage, or even empathy. You must be having a bad day. Wisdom. Think of your virtues as a compass. The external event is the chaotic weather. Your emotional impulse is the rocking of the ship. But your compass of virtue remains steady, always pointing toward your true north, the person you aspire to be. Every event, no matter how frustrating or painful, becomes an opportunity to practice being that person. This is the final step, where you transform from a passive victim of your emotions into the active architect of your character. You don't just control the feeling, you use the moment to forge yourself into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. So the Stoic secret is not a magical incantation, it is a trainable three-step process. Pause, examine, respond with virtue. The instant control is the mastery of that initial pause. It is the circuit breaker that stops the emotional fire from spreading, giving you the space to engage the rest of the process. This is not just a technique for managing anger or anxiety. This is the operating system for a life of freedom and tranquility. It is the tool that allows you to stop being a slave to fleeting external events and to become the master of your own inner world. You are not the waves. You are the unshakable rock they break against. Emotions are visitors. They come and they go. Your character is what remains. Your job is to build a character that can host any visitor without losing its peace. Now I want you to go back to your first comment, the emotion you wrote down. Reply to your own comment and write this simple declaration: I am in control. This isn't just an affirmation. It's a commitment to yourself to do the work. If this video gave you a tool to reclaim your power, subscribe to the channel. Let's continue to build our inner citadels together. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that they are not their emotions. Remember always, the power is in the pause.